So there, I just remember you calling and saying, I am having a kind of an otherworldly experience right now
Yes.
because I'm seeing my Kingdom Vision Board coming to life, even
Right.
down to that detail.
That detail, and the house we ended up getting is a light yellow house with a white front porch. That's what I had put on my board. When you invited the high school group of girlfriends to come and do the Kingdom Vision Board experience, I was super intrigued because it was a Kingdom Vision Board. I want everything I do, I want to ask God, what's your will for my life? And so when you were talking about a Kingdom Vision Board and we're going to pray through different areas and we're going to journal and we're going to ask God, what does he, order my steps?
Yes.
I was like, okay, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Hey girlfriends, welcome to this episode of the GAMG Story Show. We are doing this episode in a unique location, not our usual podcast set. We've had an interesting week here in the Nashville area with lots of crazy weather and tornadoes, and my girlfriend, Missy Rolfe, who's our guest today, she came all the way from St. Louis to help me with a Kingdom Vision Board program, a Kingdom Vision Board course, an experience that has just been launched. And so we're going to talk about that today, as well as a little bit about Missy's background with flowers and a flower truck called Rosalee. So let's start with kind of how you first came into the vortex of the JMG Stories community and kind of what our history is.
Well, Lisa and I go way back, right? We are actually friends from high school. We were cheerleaders together and have a lot of great memories from all that time. And then we're kind of in touch and then lost touch for a while and then reconnected several years ago. And just, gosh, with a bunch of other girlfriends and then lots of phone calls together and just found out we had a lot in common and the faith journey we were on.
Yeah.
And Lisa was kind of hearing about my business. I have a flower truck business and a podcast, and just hearing the story of how that all rolled out and what God did with all that. Like something that started pretty small has just grown into a lot of things that I would have never seen coming. So.
Yeah, and I do remember when we talked, it felt like we were on a similar path of discovering new things in our lives that we never imagined that we would be experiencing.
Right.
And it was not just a happenstance, coincidence, random kind of thing. It was really, we both had an intention in that season of our lives to like, God, where are you taking me? So you had made some kind of major pivots in your life. I had made some major pivots in my life.
Right.
And when we reconnected, and as you mentioned, some other girlfriends came back into the picture that we knew back in high school. There was a time when we all came together and we decided to make a Kingdom Vision Board.
Right.
And that was this experience that the Lord had been taking me on. And as I discussed it with you guys, you said, we'd like to do that.
Right.
So we did a really fun destination experience with that. And we're going to talk about some of the things that happened on your Kingdom Vision Board.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I'd like to just backtrack a little bit just to give our listeners and our viewers some of your story about your flowers, your flower truck, and your podcast, because there may be some people out there who really want to go and learn more about that and hear more from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, 2020, like a lot of us, during that time, I worked full time, but I was home. And I had always grown a ton of flowers and loved doing that. But I started making little mason jar arrangements and leaving them for friends because, we couldn't get together and all those kinds of things. And that was going on for several months. And then fast forward, I had friends asking, hey, would you do some flowers for, a gathering I'm having or, all that kind of thing. And I really didn't think a whole lot of it. But then eventually I thought, well, maybe this could be a little business, and I love growing the flowers. So I just started a couple social media accounts and just thought, well, I'll see. And it's Honeybee Flower Boutique is the name of my business. And the next thing I know, I had an idea for a flower truck. I'm like, well, what if I could get a flower truck? And I kind of dreamt up what my dream truck would be and Googled that, and one came up, and she was named Rosalee. She was in Florida.
She was already named by someone else?
Yes, by someone else. It was a 1967 Ford turquoise truck. And at the same time that was kind of all happening, God downloaded a children's book into my brain. I was cooking dinner one night and literally had to stop what I was doing, and I joke around, it was Taco Tuesday. I was browning the ground beef, and I'm
See,
like,
God can talk to you on Taco Tuesday while you're cooking dinner.
right. And I literally stopped what I was doing, jotted down most of what he downloaded, and I called it Lena's zinnias. My grandma was Lena, and she always grew zinnias. And I know some people say zinnias, but we say zinnias. And it just all kind of came to me. And my daughter's an artist, and she was living in Chicago at the time, and I called her and said, I have this crazy idea, and would you illustrate the book? And she's like, I would love to do that. So all that to say, a lot of things were kind of coming together out of nowhere, really. And one thing led to another. My business grew. We got the flower truck. I think we got her in March. The book came out in April. I mean, it was a long process. I learned a lot. There's a lot to doing a children's book. But all this happened in like 6 months. And I couldn't believe where God was going with all this. And so eventually I was able to leave my job. And the pastor I was working closely with at our church at the time even said, I said, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. But she's like, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, this is where God wants you. And I do consider it a ministry, what I get to do. And
When you said working closely with, you mean like you were actually employed there. Is that what you mean?
So my full-time job was at our church.
Okay.
And I'd helped with the programming team for years, and then I was working closely with our group's pastor.
Okay.
And she kind of walked through a lot of this with me, but she said, as much as I hate to lose you, like
It was obvious that God was leading you in a new direction.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know, I have a heart for people and like connecting people. And a flower truck business is pretty unique. And so I thought, I think I need to start a Facebook community for flower truck owners. So I did that, and it grew pretty quickly. People who are either in the business or thinking about starting one. And now we have, I think, 450 people in the group. And then I'm like, well, I'm hearing all their stories.
Yeah.
And I love to pull out their stories. They're pretty inspirational, a lot of them. So I started a podcast where I interview other flower truck owners and flower farmers. The flower community is really pretty cool and very kind people. And it's just really fun to connect with them from all over the country.
And that's called the
Flower Truck Friends Podcast. Yeah. And so that's kind of all of that. And then we did the Kingdom Vision Board experience, and there was another pivot. So you can talk a little bit about that.
And it does flow into the Kingdom Vision Board experience that you had with myself and the girlfriends as I was kind of guiding you all through the process that God had taken me through. And we did a 2-day destination experience.
Yes, it was so
which is
fun.
something that is being offered now in the Kingdom Vision Board experience, along with a couple of other options, and you can check those out. We'll put something on the screen for you so that you can check those out if you're interested. But how your flower truck and your flower business flows into that was when you made your Kingdom Vision Board, you were putting pictures in a particular zone of your board that had to do with what you were sort of feeling led to as relates to your flower business, right?
Right.
And what were some of the things that you were putting on there?
So at the time, my husband and I are empty nesters, and we were thinking about downsizing and maybe getting a smaller house, but on a little more land, because I wanted to do a little bit more of a flower farm. And I'm envisioning women coming to our property and, doing my events there. And
at that time you were envisioning that.
That's what I was envisioning. Okay. And, maybe we rent our truck to photographers a lot. And I thought, well, how cool would it be to just have them come, and I could already have areas set up for them to do all that. So a lot of what I was putting in that zone of my board was, it was called Home and Flower Farm.
You named the zone Home and Flower Farm.
I named the zone Home and Flower Farm, yeah. And I put the type of house I could envision, and we've always loved homes with big front porches. And, when I picked a picture, I didn't really care what color or anything like that it was. I just put a picture of a house that I liked with a porch. And I put a fire pit area because we've always enjoyed that, the other homes we've had. And I put string lights in an outdoor area and outdoor farmhouse tables because I'm envisioning women in my flower farm, making arrangements, doing a U-pick kind of situation, and kind of on it goes.
I just remember you had different details. And then when I looked at what you had so far, and I was asking you about, what caused you to put these particular things on here.
Right.
One of the things that I talk about when I'm teaching the Kingdom Vision Board experience is it may start with some desires of your heart that you have, and that's not a bad thing. But how the Kingdom Vision Board is different than a typical vision board is it's making room for, God, will you be my vision? Like,
Right.
take me outside of what my own vision is or my own ideas, because you're the one who made me. You're the one who's the creator of all creators. So you may have some things in mind for me, Lord, that I can't even imagine for myself.
Right.
And so I remember when I was looking at what you had put on there, we had just done some quiet time, prayer time, journaling time. And I remember telling you ladies, just really listen for his voice and pay attention to if there's anything, any unusual thought you have or image that comes to mind, and maybe you don't know why it's coming to mind, but pay attention to that. And then I asked you that question. I said, was there anything that came to mind that you haven't put down?
Right.
And you said,
Yeah, it was really funny that you asked that, because I had lots of details, and
Already?
you'll all see, I think there's going to be some photos of my board. But
Yes.
when you asked me that, I thought, well, yeah, during my prayer time, I heard the Lord say, what about the water? And I thought, what about the water? That could mean a lot of things, but I thought, well, we're not going to be able to swing a big enough property to have a pond or a lake or anything like that. But I prayed a little more, and I kept hearing that. And so I thought, okay. And I went and found a picture of a small lake and put that on my board.
In that same zone,
In
right?
that same zone. And I thought, okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what this means,
Yes.
but I'm going to try to, I want to be obedient to what I was hearing. And there was no doubt in my mind that's what I was hearing. So I put it on there.
And when we had that experience, it was in April of 2023. So here we are now, 2 years later.
Right.
There's a lot in between that we're going to skip over, but we're going to get to the point of one of the testimonies that you shared today in the Kingdom Vision Board gathering that we had, that you were a part of, to the group that was there. You were able to show them a picture of that zone and everything you put in that zone. And then you were able to show them another picture that you made afterwards when you realized that not only were there almost everything that you had put was there, but there was also water, and that has to do with what? How does all of that?
Right.
Where are you now in your life?
Right.
That where the water is.
So you're right. Just about every little detail I put on there, there's a match for it in real life, but in a totally different way than I was imagining, which I think is so cool. And just like
because he'll say, you had the right idea, but I've got something, it's
even
going to look a little different. Yeah.
Right, even better. But where the water comes in is the community we live in. There's a lake, and we can see it from our front porch and our front yard. We can walk to it in less than a minute, and there's a beautiful trail around it. And I mean, I could cry almost thinking about it, because the first time we drove out there, we were actually driving to look at a couple other properties that were like a ranch home on a couple acres.
Yeah.
And I jokingly sent this listing to my husband and said, this isn't too far, because we've always loved the style home that this one was. And he's like, well, let's just drive by. What's it going to hurt? And we drove out there, parked the car by the lake. And it was a Saturday, and we just took a little walk around the lake, and there's a wedding venue really close by, and you could hear music, and it was a gorgeous day. And my husband's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on vacation. And he doesn't ever really say things like that. And so I was like, you know what, I need to listen to this.
Yes.
Because if he feels relaxed and whatever here, maybe the flower farm dream I had and everything I had, maybe there's another way to do these things that I would have never imagined. So we reached out to our agent, and she found out that it was a coming soon home. We were going to have to wait 3 weeks to see it.
Okay.
So in that waiting time, though,
It's because you had seen it. You had gone into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You saw the house,
But
and
we
you
couldn't
saw
get
the
inside.
lake, and you saw, I remember you calling me and saying, I'm noticing that almost everything I put in the zone is there. The house
Right.
looks like the house that
Right.
I put on my board. The fire pit with the Adirondack chair picture that I put is there. The little lake is there. The raised flower beds are there. It was, the only difference was you were envisioning it to be on a property that you would be all
Right.
of this would be things you would be owning and maintaining.
Right.
Whereas this one is more in a community
Right.
that they're maintaining all of it, but you get the benefit of being able to use all of it. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we still have, a pretty decent sized yard, so I can grow a lot of flowers, but there's a community garden too, and we just found out we got a plot in the community garden.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, we're going to be able to do
Uh-huh.
everything we were thinking. And in addition to that, there's meeting spaces. And before I even came down for the retreat with all you girls, this place where we live had contacted me about teaching some classes.
This particular neighborhood. So
Yes.
you didn't live there.
Didn't live
They
there.
had reached out to you
Yes.
about, okay.
And our schedules never matched up. And
Okay.
when they reached out to me, I never in a million years thought we'd be
Living
living there within a couple years or a year and a half later.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really interesting to see how how everything plays out. But we've already been able to do photo shoots with our truck there. We've had visits with Santa in our truck. And
Oh, how
we've already
fun.
done some really awesome things. And what the Lord knew that I didn't know when all this was going on, because I was a little like, I kind of have to give up my flower farm dream. But he knew we were going to be traveling a lot more, because we had our first grandchild in November, and she lives about 3.5 hours away from us with our daughter and son-in-law, so we travel there quite a bit.
Okay.
Our son and his wife live in the Nashville area, and so we come down here quite a bit. But
And
even
you're in St. Louis.
Yeah, we're in
I don't
St.
know if I
Louis.
mentioned
Yeah.
that, but St. Louis.
And they're also expecting a baby. So I think, God knew you're going to still be able to have this dream and do a lot of the things you're gifted in, and that you feel it's like a ministry for me when I do events for women, but not have to maintain it all. So you're going to be free to travel and see your family more.
So it's the best of all worlds, but even better than what you imagined, because
yeah,
he gave you the desires of your heart and then some, because you get to experience all the things and really more, I think, because it takes a lot of work to maintain those types of things.
Yeah.
So to be able to be in a community that has all those things for you,
Right.
and you get to be in your sweet spot.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah. Well, and the other, really beautiful thing, I text Lisa pictures of the sunset a lot, because we take a walk every night around the lake and
Yeah.
with our dog.
And I've been there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard for me just to see my husband. I will sometimes hang back while he's walking the dog and send pictures to our kids. And he tells me, when I get out there after work and stuff, I just, I feel the stress melt away.
Yeah.
And there's events that, there, and we can walk. There's food truck nights, there's live music.
Oh,
There's
how
just
fun.
Yeah.
I can see why it feels like you're on vacation.
Yeah, and there's a little, it's a store that was built in the 1800s that they've turned into a cafe and gift shop, and that's open seasonally.
Oh, and there was a little Godwink story behind that, right? When you had gone and first looked at the area and you walked into that little general store.
Yes.
And it ties to
Yes.
your flower
the
business,
gift
right?
shop area is called Honeybee Point.
And your flower business is called
Honeybee Flower Boutique.
Yeah, so there. I just remember you calling and saying, I am having a kind of an otherworldly experience right now,
Yes.
because I'm seeing my Kingdom Vision Board coming to life, even
Right.
down to that detail.
That detail, and the house we ended up getting is a light yellow house with a white front porch. That's what I had put on my board.
Looks
Not
almost
that I
identical.
cared, I just like the style. The other crazy thing, and then I called Lisa a couple days later. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a tree in the yard in the exact same spot,
Yes.
leaning curving the exact same way over the yard.
Yeah.
People are blown away when
Yeah.
I show them.
I remember in our conversations, there were moments, and we all do this, you know, we get it in our head and we think, oh, I don't want to get my hopes up too much. And, you know, so subconsciously we can be talking ourselves out of something that we're getting
Right.
excited about. And I remember you saying, I don't even know if it's going to be in our price range. I mean, it's probably not. And you're saying all of these reasons why. And I just remember saying, you know, Missy, one of the things that the Bible says is there's death and life in the power of the tongue. And that has so many layers of meaning. And even in this situation, don't cancel a possibility with your own words. You know, God is a big God, and He wants us to have childlike faith. And so I remember you saying, you're right. So not only did you change your language, but I remember you calling me and saying, okay, now I'm really going all out there now. Now, again, this was before you had even gone inside the house. You didn't know how much it cost, but your faith was continuing to rise. So you did what?
So I started having fun with it. When our daughter was in town, we had taken her out there to have lunch, and we sat outside. There's a really cool outdoor area, and she took a picture of us with the lake in the background. And I ended up, you know how you can on your phone like click on a picture and make a sticker out of it, and I used that and put us standing in front of the house.
So you basically photoshopped yourself. That's another way of saying it. You photoshopped yourself and your husband
and standing in front of the house,
standing in front of this house that was for sale that you hadn't even looked at yet and didn't know if it was in your price range.
Right. I did that, and then every day I was just kind of like, oh, well, now I'm going to... Then I did another one with my husband sitting, and he has these crazy, like, flag pants. And he was sitting in a chair, but I made it look like he was sitting in one of the Adirondack chairs around the fire pit. And I just kept going. I put me and my daughter on a porch swing, and my son and I out by the garage with my flower truck, and just kept having fun with it.
Yeah.
And then my husband was getting a kick out of it too. And I just kept calling Lisa and sending her texts, look what I've done now. And I just thought, we're just going to have fun with it. And, you know, our heart too, and we prayed together about it, was we don't, you know, Lord, if you're not in this, if this isn't what you have for us, we don't want it. You know, just block it. We knew, you know, this is a desirable area. A lot of people might be interested in the house, but again, we knew if this wasn't it, there'd be something even better that He would have for us.
Yeah, and I think that's a difference between when we're in the flesh, we can set our sights on something and get an idea that, oh, that's such the perfect place, and it certainly looked like it was. But when you get yourself in a place of, okay, God, if this is the house that you have for us, then you can just sort of relax in that place. And that's what you did. And you made a decision that if this house is for us, then all those other things that we don't even know yet don't matter, because God's already taken care of it.
Right.
And it happened that way. And the next thing you knew, the house was yours.
Right.
And we were having a girlfriend experience with you and your Rosalee the flower truck in this beautiful location. It's like a Hallmark movie. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
And so I'm really excited that you got to come today and share your story with these ladies, because we're introducing people to the Kingdom Vision Board program for the first time now.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, we have different offerings in the program, and you can go to kingdomvisionboard.com if you're interested in learning about those things. And Missy and I and some of our other girlfriends are going to be continuing to introduce this program to other people, and we can't wait to hear some of your stories. If you're watching right now or listening and these stories are resonating with you, check it out on kingdomvisionboard.com. And if you are a person who loves flowers or flower businesses, or are interested in maybe having a flower truck, or you do own a flower truck, this is the lady for you. Tell them your podcast name once again.
It's Flower Truck Friends.
Flower Truck Friends. Check out her podcast.
And I do want to say one more thing, Lisa. When you invited the high school group of girlfriends to come and do the destination experience and do the Kingdom Vision Board experience, I was super intrigued because it was a Kingdom Vision Board. I've always thought about doing a vision board. I've done kind of on a smaller scale, like before I got my flower truck, I had a picture of a truck and, you know, kind of envisioned it. But I think I want everything I do, I want to ask God, what's your will for my life? And so when you were talking about a kingdom vision board and we're going to pray through different areas and we're going to journal and we're going to ask God, what does he, order my steps?
Yes.
I was like, okay, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. And you mentioned, that you've done some vision board type of things before, or some version of it.
On a small scale.
On a small scale.
Yeah.
And I also have done some vision boards in the past. And there's nothing wrong with that. That you can have some goals and see some things come to life. Mm-hmm. But the major difference is that you find yourself putting things on a board that you don't know why you're putting it, like the lake, for instance, like the water.
Right.
And it really is, I say it's like an Evite to God. Like you're putting your hands to a board and you're saying, this is my invitation to you, God, to be my vision and order my steps. And so remove my own self-imposed limitations, whatever those may be, and help me enter into what you see me doing, Lord. And that's a whole nother ball game there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I found, like I said, was, God is so creative and just had a little twist on the plan he rolled out for us that I would have never thought of.
Yes.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Yeah, thank
Missy.
you for having me. Thank you for, teaching me about this. And I'm thrilled to be helping now.
Yeah, I'm thrilled too. It's so fun to do with girlfriends. And if you are listening and not watching this, you can head over to our YouTube channel to see some of the images that Missy was describing. That's it for this episode, girlfriends. We'll see you next time on the GAMG Story Show. Bye.